headlines of this hour on VTV News. The top Vietnamese leader attends Francophone summit opening. And Vietnam's exports to the Americas double after 5 years of CPTPP. In our world news, Lebanon receives aid from WHO and UN Refugee Agency.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is 3 p.m. local time and you're tuning in to VTV News. I'm Huyen Chen with the top stories. Vietnamese Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm on Friday night attended the opening session of the 19th Francophone Summit in France, theme Creativity, Innovation and Entrepreneurship in French. One of the key issues highlighted at the summit is the preservation and development of the French language and the broader Francophone community. The conference will address priorities and directions for Francophone cooperation, and participants will discuss current global issues and potential crises impacting the international community, especially of French-speaking nations. Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm is expected to join a plenary session on creativity, innovation and startups, and hold bilateral meetings with leaders from participating countries on Saturday. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính chaired a government meeting on Saturday morning to discuss the investment policy for the North-South high-speed railway project. He instructed the Ministry of Transport to align with the Politburo's conclusions and Resolution number 55 regarding the project's investment policy. The Prime Minister emphasized the need for valid feedback, especially from the Appraisal Council, to finalize documentation for the National Assembly's 8th session. The Prime Minister also requested that the project achieve a speed of 350 kilometers per hour. He specified that all routes should be as straight as possible, avoid large residential areas, and connect major airports, seaports, the East-West corridor, potentially linking with other countries. The project aims to serve both passenger and freight transport for economic and national defense purposes. And to ensure effective implementation, the Prime Minister directed the Ministry of Transport to establish a dedicated team drawing personnel from various sectors and companies. National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn met with the Standing Committee of the Ho Chi Minh City Party Committee on Saturday to discuss the implementation of Resolution 98 on special mechanisms and policies for the city's development and Resolution number 57 regarding the investment in the Belt Road number 3 project. The National Assembly leader and members of the National Assembly Party Committee commended the city's socio-economic development. Notably, the estimated state budget revenue has reached over $14.9 billion, up 14% year-on-year. The National Assembly expressed support for proposals to establish Vietnam's International Financial Center, develop urban rail systems, and construct Belt Roads number 3 and 4. However, they emphasized that city authorities must promptly finalize the profile and also the assessment documents by the set deadlines. Dozens of projects, including the North-South Expressway, have been implemented, and despite significant slight clearance and pressure on material mines, Hà Tĩnh ranks among the top for disbursement, having allocated over 30% of its public investment capital in the last 2 months. This shows that with strong leadership, achieving the Prime Minister's 95% target is feasible.
Site clearance, resettlement area construction, and project implementation occurred simultaneously. Despite adverse weather, the Eastern Belt Road project in Hà Tĩnh City is 10% ahead of schedule.
We have assigned responsibilities to field staff and asked contractors to ensure adequate machinery, equipment, and personnel.
By the end of September, Ha Tinh province had disbursed over 84% of its allocated public investment capital. The Provincial People's Committee aims to disburse 100% of this year's capital.
We've established 3 inspection teams led by the People's Committee vice chairs. They will inspect each project. The investor and management board must provide immediate explanations if there are delays. Provincial issues must be resolved at the provincial level, while local issues require intervention from the locality.
As of the end of September, the Ministry of Finance reported that 29 ministries, central agencies, and 26 localities had disbursement rates below the national average. If these units improve, the fourth quarter results will show positive changes.
Public investment targets should be assigned as key performance indicators to local leaders and ministries.
Many key projects are in their final stages this year. Achieving this term's goals will be challenging without speeding up public investment disbursement.
With 1 quarter remaining, there is still time to accelerate the disbursement of public investment capital and achieve at least 95% of the planned target, as the Prime Minister requires. The key issue is the determination and responsibility of leadership.
Vietnam's exports to the Americas have doubled in value since the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership (CPTPP) took effect 5 years ago. Export turnover grew from $6.3 billion in 2018 to $11.7 billion last year, according to the General Department of Customs. Notably, Vietnam's trade surplus with these markets has nearly tripled, surpassing $11 billion. To maximize CPTPP benefits, the Ministry of Industry and Trade recommends that businesses stay informed about market trends, seek efficient logistic solutions, and also improve their use of tariff preferences. Moreover, businesses are urged to strengthen connections in global supply chains, especially with CPTPP member countries. In the first 9 months of this year, Vietnam's rice exports have achieved remarkable success, reaching nearly $4.4 billion. This marks a 23% increase compared to the same period last year and nearly matches the total export value for all of 2023, according to the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. The volume of rice exported has also exceeded 7 million tons, a 10% year-on-year rise. Despite India's resumption of white rice exports and fierce competition from Thailand, Vietnamese rice has maintained a stable market presence in terms of share, value, and quality. Additionally, high demand from key markets such as the Philippines, Indonesia, and Malaysia continues to bolster the robust export performance of Vietnamese rice. Now, according to farmers, betel nut trees offer significant economic value, yielding 7 to 10 times more than acacia trees. And in Quảng Nam province, the area dedicated to betel nut cultivation is gradually increasing each year. However, ensuring a stable market for betel nuts remains a challenge due to price fluctuations. As the area under betel nut cultivation expands, the agricultural sector, local authorities, and farmers must find ways to promote products derived from betel nuts.
This cooperative is one of 18 betel nut processing facilities in Dien Phuoc District, Quảng Nam Province. It signs the contract to guarantee product purchases from hundreds of households in Dien Phuoc and other areas in the province. After procurement, the betel nuts are steamed, dried, and exported abroad. Each of these facilities can provide employment for around 80 workers.
On average, we process 25 to 30 tons of fresh betel nuts every day. Production and consumption are well matched, as everything produced is sold. Currently, prices are very high.
Byproducts from betel nut trees are processed by local residents into household items. Currently, women in 15 betel nut growing communes in Dien Phuoc District have established cooperatives specializing in producing handcrafts from betel nuts. More than 20 products have been developed from the betel nut tree, many of which have received 4-star OCOP certification and are supplied to major hotels and resorts nationwide.
Our products are all handmade. Orders keep coming in, exceeding our production capacity.
Betel nut trees have met Quảng Nam's economic development requirements. The province is currently developing a project to research and promote betel nut cultivation as both a cash crop and a means to enhance the landscape for ecotourism. Establishing a stable value chain and market for betel nuts remains a long-term priority.
Betel nut farmers are starting to adopt high-tech intensive cultivation methods. We will guide them toward organic farming practices and gaining area codes to boost exports.
However, most of the harvested betel nuts are exported in raw form. Although handcrafted products made from betel nuts are popular in the market, their production is still done manually, resulting in low productivity. To enhance the economic value of the betel nut tree, local authorities are supporting cooperatives in developing more advanced processing methods for betel nut products, moving away from raw exports.
Coming up next on VTV News. Phie tightens control over unregistered fishing vessels. And October 10th, the triumphant day of return. Now moving on to other news, coastal localities are implementing drastic measures to prepare for the European Commission's inspection on combating illegal, unreported and unregulated IUU fishing scheduled for November. In Thanh Hóa, authorities have announced that organizations and individuals responsible for any illegal port docking will be held accountable until October 15. This initiative aims to prevent vessels from operating without proper licenses. And since the beginning of the year, Thanh Hóa has addressed violations in 105 cases. Meanwhile, in Bình Thuận, local leaders will be held responsible if fishing boats lose their monitoring equipment and arrive at their ports. So far this year, Bình Thuận has fined 4 boats that lost connection for more than 10 days. The fines totaled over $4,000. And these efforts are part of a broader strategy to enhance compliance with IUU fishing regulations. In Phie province, about 30% of fishing boats between 6 and 15 meters lack registration, safety certificates, and fishing licenses. These 3-nose vessels primarily exist due to fishermen's lack of awareness. Despite the quick paperwork process, many fishermen are reluctant to register and undergo inspections. And in recent months, Phie province has implemented various measures to expedite the registration process for these boats, aiming to prevent illegal fishing.
Nearshore fishermen are arriving to complete the necessary procedures for their vessels. Officials here receive application and assist fishermen in finalizing the process to obtain operational registration certificates.
This festival kicks off a series of events celebrating the liberation of the capital, using the Aodai to highlight Hanoi's epic 70-year history.
Of the 880 unregistered fishing boats in Phie, nearly half have now received support in completing the necessary procedures for fishing vessel certificates, inspection registrations, and fishing licenses. Fishermen who fail to cooperate in completing the paperwork will be barred from leaving the port.
Local authorities, working with border guards, will take strict action against fishermen who refuse to register their vessels.
A task force has been established to assist the owners of unregistered fishing boats, boats with expired fishing licenses, and those with expired safety certificates.
The three nose fishing boats in Phie primarily operate near the shore, leading to low awareness of fishing laws among fishermen. Some boat owners intentionally avoid registration and inspections. In response, local authorities are vigorously implementing this support initiative as a final opportunity for boat owners to comply. After December, Phie Province will prohibit the operation of unregistered fishing vessels.
Every year, agricultural product exports generate over $53 billion for the country. Despite being considered a pillar of the economy, workforce training in this sector remains inadequate. The shortage of skilled workers is currently affecting many regions, particularly the Mekong Delta.
Determining the age and ripeness of harvest is crucial for ensuring the quality of exported durian. Factories need to pay skilled technicians 50 to 70 million Vietnamese dong monthly for this vital process. However, finding qualified personnel for this role is not easy.
There's no training available to produce workers in this field. It's a new and skill-based profession, and if people aren't passionate about it, learning can be challenging. In Thailand, durian harvesters must obtain professional certification through training courses. In contrast, we haven't established such systems yet. I believe it's time to address the workforce issue in this industry.
Investing in high-quality cooking oil processing plants in the Mekong Delta, MICE company faces difficulty finding qualified staff and engineers who can start working immediately after being hired.
The challenge is that we always have to train new personnel for 3 to 6 months before they can start working effectively.
The Mekong Delta currently has over 10 million people of working age, about 20% of the national labor force. However, most of these workers are unskilled. Due to the lack of high-quality workforce, many businesses are hesitant to invest in the region.
Those who experienced the capital's liberation 70 years ago still hold vivid emotions and heroic memories of that unforgettable time. Looking back 7 decades later, the day of liberation seems destined, with strong signs of belief in their inevitable return to the capital.
In the late December 1946, over 1,200 soldiers departed Hanoi for the war zone, preparing for a prolonged struggle. As they left, determined to fight and return to liberate the capital, signs that read, "See you again, goodbye capital," lined the streets.
When we retreated, some comrades wrote in chalk on the wall of Han Bum Street, promising to return to Hanoi. After 9 years of resistance, we fulfilled the promise and felt proud and happy to be back.
The memory of the return day remains vivid for many Hanoians. Silence marked the reunion, revealing a peaceful and untouched capital.
The French colonies hadn't yet withdrawn, leaving the capital deserted and desolate. When the soldiers arrived and took control, the people welcomed us. The lights were on and the trams were clanging. I believe that the sense of completeness is unparalleled in the world.
The event on October 10th, when the army and government returned to take over the capital, represented the height of resistance against French colonialism. It also fulfilled nearly a century of hopes held by the Vietnamese people who had long awaited that day. Foreign visitors, regardless of their Vietnamese skills, still call it Aodai when they visit.
The promise of a return was a shared dream of all its citizens. Even at 91, Khang continues to sing and play Tiến về Hà Nội, or Marching to Hanoi by Van Cao Daily. This song, composed 4 years before the capital's liberation, expressed an unwavering belief in a certain victory.
The army marched like waves. We sang that song and taught it to the children of Hanoi so they could sing it.
To commemorate the 70th anniversary of the liberation of the capital, October 10th, the Hanoi Aodai Tourism Festival 2024 kicked off at the Imperial Citadel of Thăng Long on Friday evening. The festival will last until October 6th, offering a variety of exciting activities.
The Hoàng Long Lương Duyên collection featuring dragon and phoenix motifs opened the Hanoi Aodai Tourism Festival. Designers showcase a variety of unique collections. Through this event, Hanoi aims to transform the Aodai from a cultural ambassador into a tourism ambassador.
I'm thrilled about this festival. Each year, it amazes me with its content, visuals, and venue.
Foreign visitors, regardless of their Vietnamese skills, still call it Aodai when they visit.
In an open space, 80 booths showcase Aodai products and accessories from all three regions of Vietnam, alongside offerings from travel businesses, hotels, and traditional craft villages in Hanoi and other localities.
This festival kicks off a series of events celebrating the liberation of the capital, using the Aodai to highlight Hanoi's epic 70-year history.
After 3 years, the Hanoi Aodai Tourism Festival has evolved into an annual October event that promotes the capital as a safe, friendly, quality, and attractive destination.
Coming up next in our world news. Lebanon receives aid from WHO and UN Refugee Agency. And G7 launches initiative to combat human trafficking. Now moving on to our world news, an aid plane carrying 55 tons of supplies and medical equipment arrived in Lebanon from the United Arab Emirates on Friday, the national news agency NNA reported. This aid was provided by the World Health Organization WHO and the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees UNHCR, according to the report. The UN agencies are committed to supporting Lebanon and its people, as well as implementing measures to help alleviate the pressure on vulnerable populations in the country. UNICEF urged the international community to mobilize humanitarian support and ensure that supply routes into Lebanon remain open, allowing for the rapid and safe delivery of life-saving aid to children in need. It also called for an urgent ceasefire and the protection of children by all parties. Many countries have provided tens of millions of dollars in aid to Lebanon. The Group of Seven, or G7, will establish specialized police units to investigate human trafficking. This initiative is part of a broader strategy to address the growing issue of illegal immigration. In a joint statement from the three-day G7 Interior Ministers meeting in southern Italy, the Italian Interior Minister announced an action plan that proposes that as G7 members create criminal and investigative law enforcement units in the field of migrant smuggling and human trafficking, if they do not already exist. The new action plan emphasizes the need for closer cooperation between G7 countries and also countries of origin and transit for illegal migration. Now, in a recent ruling, the Court of Justice for the European Union ordered Meta to minimize the amount of personal data it collects for personalized advertising. The lawsuit against the Facebook parent company was initiated by Austrian privacy campaigner Max Schrems, who argued that the tech giant used his personal data, including information about his sexual orientation, to target him with specific ads. In its ruling, the Court of Justice of the European Union stressed that social media sites cannot use all personal data collected for targeted advertising purposes without time limits and regardless of the type of data. And in response to the court's decision, Meta stated that it had invested more than 5 billion euros to integrate privacy settings into its products and insisted that it did not use special types of data provided by users to personalize advertising. 3D printing technology is gaining popularity across various fields, including manufacturing, construction, and medicine. And recently, for the first time, a hotel was built entirely using 3D printing technology in Texas, USA. More on this to follow.
Unlike traditional hotel construction sites, there are no fences, bricks, sand, or gravel. The entire construction site of the El Cosmico Hotel by Icon in the desert of West Texas, USA, features just one giant 3D printer. This innovative machine will use a concrete mixture to construct the walls of the world's first 3D printed hotel.
3D printing gives you a lot more room to experiment into, or even if you're sort of like quite confident, to do more organic forms and shapes. Of course, if you want a square, we can print a square. But I think what you sort of find is like curves and organic forms and sort of more natural tectonics end up feeling somehow more comfortable, more human, more safe, more warm, more inviting.
A typical 3-person crew for these projects includes a print technician who monitors the printer's preset path using tablet software. 3D printers can operate non-stop, reducing construction time and offering more design flexibility than traditional methods.
And I really see that the future will be definitely an more automated way, even if it's not fully 3D printed, but the conventional using labor for every single step of construction that really will not continue for so long. And then the automation is taking over. And I think that's the way for this. So it's hard to fight against the automation and the additive manufacturing.
Icon's plan is to expand the El Cosmico Hotel by building more than 40 additional structures in 18 separate resorts by 2026. In addition to this hotel project, Icon is also working with NASA to build structures on the moon using 3D printing technology.
Now, as usual, let's move on to the weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.